Yo, what's up? What's up, players? What's cracking? What's crack-a-lacking? Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to set up a desktop cam, and you know me, apparently not very good at this stuff. So let's see how this works out. So, bada boom, bada boom. Hey, where'd the other one go? Where'd it go? That kind of works. What do you guys think? I feel like there's something going on here, though. I see my lips moving, but there seems to be a little bit of a delay. So that's great. Let me know if it sounds okay. For some reason, I can't figure out if anybody is a tech wizard out there. I can't figure out how to just shut the fucking sound off on the extra cam. It just I'll go all the way down on the volume and it'll literally just tick it up one little notch. It's the strangest thing. All right, it sounds okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so I wanted to show you, I wanted to show you guys these knives. We'll wait a few minutes, see if we get some people in here, more people in here, and then I'll go through each of them if you guys want to check them out. We could talk about them a little bit. There is a knife I need to unbox. This one, because there's a drop tomorrow, I think, for these. Auxiliary Manufacturing. What the hell's the name of this one? Somebody out there knows. It's got some Asian lettering on it. Is that Asian or is that hieroglyphics or Japanese or Egyptian? What is that? Egyptian, maybe? There's a tomb on the thing there. Oh, here we go. This is the Pocket Bowie. I like to call it the Bowie because, yeah, somebody will tell me I'm wrong either way. That way I cover my bases. You know what I'm saying? JD, what up, dog? Sup? There's a ghost in the machine playing with your sound settings. No, it's seriously the most annoying thing in the world. You can't turn the sound off. You guys probably can't hear it, but like if I turn it up right now, it'll just start doing that thing where it's like two things are too close together and it's like I don't even understand. Just because it's being used as a camera, it has to have volume on. It must have something to do with the mic. Like the mic needs the volume on just a little bit or something. But I have the mic muted, so and unfortunately you can't like just refuse access because that would work, but then they won't let you onto the website. So it's fuckery is what it is. Fuckery. You guys see my giant pile of reloading equipment that I bought? Here, you can see it all over there. I'm building a reloading room in my basement. Yeah, it escalated quickly. So I also signed up for my first PRS match. Hopefully that'll be fun. It's like a beginner's match for a division or whatever that we have out here. It's like 2 hours away, but they have 1,000-yard range, which is sick. So that'll be my first time being able to shoot more than like 300 yards. The next Whatnot show. So the shelf is starting to fill up. So it shouldn't be too long, probably like end of the month, early April, something like that, probably will be the next one. I need knives, you know, to do the whatnot sale. And I wait for them to come back from pass around. So it's usually, you know, a couple months in between each one is kind of the way I do it. How many yards to the neighbors? Yeah. Unfortunately, not too many, you know. It's like probably 25 or 30 yards to the next guy there. Let's see. I'll hit up some channel members while we're starting it off. Marco, channel member. I'll just shout you guys out instead of doing this thing because it takes so long to get through everybody. But that is for everybody right there. Jesse Adams. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Kathleen. Says, hey, all. We got El Gatito Malo 24. I don't know what I just said. Hopefully it wasn't anything crazy. Shout out to you. Thanks for being a channel member. We got Michael N. Shout out to Michael. I think maybe a couple of you guys got the memberships last week on the donations, which was sweet. Kevin Smith says, let's go. We got Jay in the house. He says, wait, I'm in the wrong live. I want the small boy is here live. Not yet, sir. That one's coming, though. Don't you worry. David Miller. Shout out to David Miller. Mike. Stop making stuff I want to buy. No, sir. No, sir. That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Actually, to be honest, the name of the game is making stuff that we want to buy. And then usually it translates pretty well to you guys. Kelly's Mishmash. What up, Kelly? There's a ghost in the machine. I already read that one. Okay. Sorry. That was a good one, though. Had to read it twice. JD. Let's see. Who else we got here? Who else we got? Who else we got? I think I got them all. Oh, Cicero, 4 months. My pony V2 will have Kev chest hair micarta. Ew, dude, that would be disgusting. That'd be a rough micarta, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't stop. That even creeps me out. See Reisner Cutlery. What up, Austin? What's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. If you guys aren't familiar, Austin runs traditionalpocketknives.com/C Reisner Cutlery and is a great dude in the community and has awesome products. Merceau, hey Lefty and Naffers. Sup, dog. I need to install an ATM in my apartment. Yeah. Unfortunately, then, you know, you'd have to fill it out with your money. Like, I don't think they just give you money with the ATM. But you could try. All right, let's take a look at these bad boys. Let's see if I can't figure out. God, there we go. Look at that. Who's that handsome man down there in the corner? So I'll show you the packaging. I'm pretty proud of the packaging. You guys know I'm always enjoying the packaging. So here's the stickers. You got the standard Divo sticker. We're almost out of these, so we are working on a new design for the sticker. I think we're going to try to do like a longer one, you know. It'll probably still have neon though, because I just like neon shit, you know. And then you got the Pony Stout V2 sticker. So it's a metallic finish sticker. And you got your chimpanzee riding on a pony, holding a beer. Those are the literal words that I said to Colin. I was like, this is what happened. Just so I'll give you a little inside baseball here. I sent a voice note to Colin because he was like, I'm going to work on the sticker for the Pony V2. And I was like, all right, dude, listen, I got an idea. How about we put the chimpanzee that we use in other stuff, like the growler and whatever, and we put him on a pony, and then we hand him a beer. I don't know why, but that's how this happened. So there's the pony stuff. And our chimp friend makes another appearance on the actual box for the knife. So, and Colin picked this like green color. I think it's pretty sick. You got Pony Stout V2 here. You got your version. So the Lefty ones will say Lefty. You can't really read that, I guess, but unless you're on a TV or something, maybe I'm just blind. So anyway, it says Lefty, and then it gives you the version of the knife. This one happens to be the Stonewash with brass inlay version. So obviously it gives you the blade finish, the handle finish, and then the inlay. And the righty ones just don't have that because those are the more common ones. And then here's the box. We went with neon green on these. We did pink on the Lush with TPK, with Austin. We actually mirrored a lot of stuff from the Lush run because this one was also with Riot, and they were kind of like, you know, side by side being made around the same time. Lush V2, Pony V2. So we did, I think, pink on the box with the Lush. So this one we did neon green. We did switch it up a little bit on this one. We did the magnetic clasp. I do like the magnetic clasp a little better, I think, than the regular just top bottom. And then you get your troll candy and you get your foam, and, you know, you would get a knife in there. This one's already out. So anyway, that's a look at the packaging. You know, standard stuff with a little bit of flair, the way we like to do it. And you'll, of course, get a Divo cloth, a 12 by 12. This one's disgusting, but you'll get one of these in there. You can see I use these for everything. Let me see if there's any questions before I dive in, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see. I'm liking that blue. 17 months for Hate Nate. What's up, Nate? Thank you, dude. It says 17 months. Deal. One of the best faux show. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dog. What platform are you using? This is YouTube. Wait, aren't you on YouTube watching it? Oh, shit. You mean... Hey, can I put like a little floaty over my head that says retard? I'm using StreamYard. I am using StreamYard. Austin has taken a fair share of my money. Yep. I just need to start a GoFundMe. Yeah, GoFundMe for an ATM machine in my apartment. I have 13 of those stickers right now. Hell yeah, dude. Heck yeah, man. Why is there no reverse tux? You're so mad about the reverse tux. I don't know. Honestly, it just didn't come up, I guess. I think the reason would be because we added the pop camo. Because we didn't have this material when we did the Lush V2 yet. When we put that order in, we didn't have this option yet. So when we did this order, we added the pop camo, and we were keeping the order to the same idea as the Lush, where we did 6 versions, did 50 of each, and then we did 5 of each in Lefty. That was the order. 330 knives, same thing as the Lush V2. And I guess that would be the reason. It's just so we just didn't think of it, or that one got nixed, so we could do the pop camo. So you could just blame this knife and hate it if you want. Because yeah, there pretty much is a correlating one for all the other ones, isn't there? Like this one best matches the the one with the bronze ano. It's not actually like brass, but bronze ano. That one had like a frost satin. This one has stonewash, but still it kind of matches. Then you have denim, you have 80s, you have blue crystal tie, and then you have the purple one. So the pop camo doesn't match a Lush, and the reverse tux Lush doesn't match a pony. So I don't know. Maybe you could get this one and that'll match. You know, it can be the oddball out pair. I need an 80s camo tall boy. Well, if you don't mind a little bit of a smaller knife, Austin will have a bunch of 80s camo small boys. I believe he did 2 versions. He did the normal version with no milling, and then he did another batch with the radial milling on it with the 80s. Otherwise the same, just milling, no milling. Kev's the model for the sticker. Ponies holding beers. That was funny, man. Big chimping. I do like that box. Yeah, I like that box too. Anyone else buffering? Hopefully not. Loving the pop. Awesome. I'm glad you like it. You have no idea what a disgusting Divo cloth is. I use mine for all knives for the past 2 years. Jesus. Do you at least wash it or something? Dude, okay. Can you shoot me an email, man? I'll send you a new one. I'll send you a couple new ones, all right? I use them for like gun stuff. Like, if I'm like installing a trigger or putting a barrel on or whatever, I'll use that puppy, but I throw them away and just grab another one. I'm lucky. I got 3,000 in my basement, so it kind of works out. 2 years, man. Divo knives are the best knife company around. Hell yeah, Ronald. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, sir. I appreciate that very much. You are the man. Make that 2. I fry. I need one also. Let's see. Got my first Divo, the Saloon Way of Knife Custom. Love the knife, but the handle purchase profile is a little small for me. Is this one much bigger? No, this one's well, I'll show you. So they're going to be the same overall size. All right. Let me put them together here. In fact, the Saloon might actually be a little bit bigger. However, you have a full forward finger choil on the, well, not a full forward finger choil, a 50-50 choil on the Pony Stout. So on the Saloon, you're going to be able to choke up to the blade there. I can get my whole hand on, obviously. On the Pony, you get the choil up here. So you might get a little bit more purchase. I don't know. But I think it's similar, to be honest. Like, so if we compare the handle, like where your finger would go, you might get like the tiniest bit more on the pony, but not much. So you probably want one of our full-size knives, like the big boy, when this comes out. It's a 4-inch blade, 5-inch handle, 9 inches overall. That's what she said. So that's probably what you're looking for. This is on the smaller side. It is a pony of, here's a TPK exclusive. Here's the big brother Stout V2. Just so you can see the difference. This is a 7.5-inch knife, 3.3 overall, or sorry, 3.3 blade length, 7.5 overall. This is 2.9 and 6.5 overall. So I guess I'll start off with this one. This is the Purple Flow version. This is our Wakanda Forever pattern. So you have DLC belt satin on the blade. It is Vanex Super Clean. The OEM on these is Riot out of China. If you guys know Riot, they are the creme de la creme of knife OEMs. We've been wanting to work with them for a hot minute, and we got our first knife done with them a couple months ago with Austin, the Lush V2. Fantastic knife. I think there's actually still some of the 80s ones available, or maybe it's not 80s. It's like, yeah, wait, is it 80s? I think I'm mixing up the Saloon and the Lush, but I think there might be some available. You could check. But yeah, Riot did a great job on these. We have an internal relief cut on the lock bar. I call this a reverse bolster lock. I give a lot of credit to Matt over at Berg Blades. I reviewed one of his knives. I think it was called the Tick, and it had a similar setup. It had the inlay around the pivot. I think it was more like a traditional frame lock setup, though. Like the frame lock came up, like up here, where we kind of hid the frame lock at the front. But same concept, reverse bolster lock. And I just thought that was cool. We wanted to make this knife a little different than the Stout V2 because we've always done a bolster lock in the traditional sense like this. We've always done it with the lock bar up top and then the kind of inlay at the bottom. And I thought it would be interesting to do something different. So that's where that came from. And then this one has the Purple Flow, and then it's PVD coated titanium on the handle and the hardware. The backspacer is purple anodized titanium, pocket clip, purple anodized titanium. And then again, it's DLC on the blade. The Vanex is 60 to 61 HRC, which is kind of the sweet spot for Vanex. Riot does a really good job with their Vanex. And this knife is a slicey mofo. Cut down a bunch of boxes with it yesterday. I really enjoyed it. This one is the crystal tie version. So this is kind of your bling one, I guess. You have blue crystallized titanium on the inlay and on the backspacer. There's like a little bit of purple that comes through on the backspacer there. And then you have bead blast tie on the handle. You have satin titanium on the hardware. And then you have a beautiful hand satin Van X blade. So this is kind of your bougie one, I guess you could call it. We do have some accent kits. You can check those out at White Mountain Knives. Just search Pony Stout V2. You can see all the hardware we have available. I tried to pick a bunch of different materials. We're trying to make them affordable. The only one that's not like sub $40 is Zircuti. And Riot just charges a lot for Zircuti because they only use like the best kind. So the Zircuti I think is like $89 or $99, and you get the clip and you get the backspacer. No inlays with the kit. And that was on purpose because when we had the prototypes, I tried to swap the inlays out. Like we ordered extra inlays for the prototypes to, see different versions and stuff and not have to order a bunch of extra prototypes. And I couldn't get the inlay out. Like I couldn't get the crystallized tie inlay out. And Riot said they're press fit in there, so like you can get them out. They're not glued. I thought they were glued. So they do actually just press them in. So you like potentially you can get them out of there, but I didn't want to sell inlays and then have customers trying to pry these out, and it would have just caused a bunch of people to have issues. And I think we have enough variation in the versions that it's not that big of a deal. So you can get backspacer and clip kits. And again, the titanium ones. So if they're like anodized tie or PVD tie, satin tie, those are like $25 for the kit, clip and backspacer. If it's crystallized titanium or zirconium, then it's going to be $39 for a backspacer and a clip in crystallized tie or zirconium. I don't know where else you're going to get a backspacer and clip kit for under $40 in zirconium or crystallized titanium. You guys let me know where you find that, because I don't think you will. And that's before you apply a discount. So it's really like $36 out the door, which is pretty sweet. And then the Zircuti is like $89 or $99, which will still be cool. You know, if you threw Zircuti, backspacer, and clip on here, I don't know, it might look cool. That's up to you guys if you want to pick those up. We always try to have some kind of add-on for you guys. But anyway, that's this version, which I think is dope. It is a little bit heavier because it's titanium. We sent one of these to our buddy Casey, Knives Fast. Me and him were chatting about the knife, and he's like, I wish you could have add more milling to make it lighter. And I'm like, well, dude, you picked the one with titanium inlays. Like, of course it's going to be heavier, because the whole point of a bolster lock is you can't really add milling because you have to mill it out to put the inlay in. So if you put in camo carbon or micarta, it's going to lighten the knife up. But if you put in titanium or brass, it's going to be a little bit heavier. There is milling in here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. We added it wherever we could in the spots where like there's not already a milled pocket on the other side. Like you can see right in there, you can see milling. Down in there, you can see milling. Like, you know, we got it in there wherever we could. But you can't add milling up here because, you know, you're removing titanium to fit this inlay in. And it would mess up the durability or the strength of the scale. So anyway, This one I think is 3.7 ounces. It's not like heavy, it's just heavier. 3.7. The carbon ones are like 3.2, I think, 3.1, 3.2. I'm going to venture to guess the micarta one's basically the same. And then the brass one is like 4 or 4.1, something like that. So lightest, a little bit heavier, and then heaviest. And again, none of them are heavy. Like this one, even with the brass, is not like, it's not obnoxious like a F5.5 in brass. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit of extra weight. We didn't do the brass on the backspacer just so we didn't weigh it down a ton, you know. I actually really like this version. So this is the Colin version, basically. Colin loves brass. He likes a pretty basic bitch finish. You know, a lot of times we just call it the basic bitch version for Colin. If it's like just all stonewashed tie, you know. This we did add the brass because I thought that'd be cool. The brass looks really nice. It's clean. I think it looks a little better than if we had done copper on this. So yeah, it's all stonewashed titanium except for that brass inlay. Pretty clean version here. And I think it looks really good. One thing I really like about the knife is the lock bar access. If you guys are familiar with the original Pony Stout, it had amazing lock bar access. And this knife is no different. It's super comfortable to get in there. You have some milling on the edge of it. Down here, there's some line milling. And you got a nice amount of lock bar scooped out there. Very rounded, softer feel. I really like how that came out. And of course, the reverse flick is money. And you have a beautiful hollow ground blade. So it's nice and thin, nice and slicey. So that's the brass version. They all come with a milled titanium pocket clip that is internally mounted. And it actually covers up part of the lock bar. See, I mentioned earlier it's a reverse bolster lock. So basically the inlay is up at the top covering the lock bar, where normally on a bolster lock, this part would be exposed, right? And then the inlay is down here covering the relief. So it's a little bit different. You know, we have the internal relief cut, and then we have the reverse bolster, but the pocket clip covers up that part of the lock bar that you can see. So there's actually a line. You can kind of see it right there. You see that line? That's where the lock bar is cut. And I just think it looks really cool that, you know, you basically hide all of it. You know, the only thing that gives it away is this little bit of an extra gap here versus over here, you know, because this is actually frame lock. So I think that looks really cool on both sides. Let me know what you guys think on that. Let me hit some comments before I get to the last three. Acid wash denim is just too sweet. Yeah, I'm in love with the denim acid wash stuff. This is actually dark wash, not acid wash, which is like a little different. I guess it's not actually acid etched, if I understand correctly. It's like it's basically like a dark blast, so like an aluminum oxide dark blast, and then they tumble that, and that gives you a dark wash versus an acid wash, which involves doing the acid etch and then tumbling. So like this, Lush right here. So this is a Lush V2. This one is acid washed. I think so. Actually, now I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up because it looks different. Watch. See the difference? The handle looks the same because you can't acid wash titanium. All right. So like with titanium, they can't do an acid etch on it. I think it would just like erode the titanium or something. So they do the dark wash on the handle regardless. Okay. And that's the same thing that like Kubi would do, right? They do the dark blast and then a tumble to get the dark wash on the titanium. But then on the blade, they can acid etch it. So this, I believe, is an acid wash. And this is a dark wash. So this has been dark blasted and then tumbled. It's a little more uniform, right? It's a little lighter, I guess, in color. And this is a little bit darker and a little less uniform. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Very cool. I like both a lot, actually. I don't know which one's better. Like, normally I would probably say I'd prefer an acid wash, maybe, compared to blasting the blade, but I don't think either of them become more prone to rusting. I mean, with Van-X, I don't think it matters, but I don't know. If anybody knows anything about that, definitely let me know. I want to get my hands on a Nip Light. So we're working on a Nip V2 right now, and that's going to be sort of a Nip Light and a Nip kind of put together. We're updating the design, so it's going to have a landing pad for the flipper tab. It's going to have a milled pocket clip that comes standard on it, and then you'll get the wire clip in the box. And we're going to get rid of the liners. That's kind of the thing that I wanted to... We were going to just do a V1.5. If you saw my video like a month ago or so, where I got some parts in from Kubi to test on the Nip, I was calling it a Nip V1.5. But I was thinking about it more, and I was like, why don't we just get rid of these liners? I really like the tab liner, like the inset locks. Like this is an inset lock, right? So it's like a liner lock, but there's no actual liner. It's just a tab lock bar. It's just a lock bar that's mounted inside. So you get a piece of steel like this wide, right? And like this long. And then it mounts via the clip screw. And there's like a tab in there too, cut out of the scale material. And it makes it so much lighter, especially if you do carbon fiber versions, like camo carbon. I mean, those weigh like 2 ounces. So with the Nip Light or the Nip, with that setup, I think it's going to weigh like under 2 ounces. I could be wrong. We'll see. But I figured we'd just go ahead and do all those updates and call it a V2. So I've been pushing back this Nip order for a while because I keep wanting to do different stuff. So what we're doing instead is we're ordering prototypes of the Nip V2, and we're moving up the Nitro. So our design collaboration with Nick over at Niche Designs, the Nitro, that's the one we're going to order next. So, yeah. Reverse Tux Divo would be cool. Just saying, I'm still going to get the version with denim. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, we usually do a reverse tux. It just didn't happen on this one. Honestly, I can't give you like a really good reason why. I just, you know, sometimes we just don't think of something, or, you know. That's how it goes. Looking forward to adding the V2 Lefty to my Pony Stout collection. Heck yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Where's the fat burlap tie mascarta? You know, I'm not a big burlap fat tie mascarta guy. I just, you know, it doesn't go with my outfits. Doesn't go with my outfits, man. The year of the big boy. There you go. What up, Wyvern? Cracking. Just getting here. What blade steel would they be using? It's Vanex Super Clean. Vanex Super Clean. And these are dropping on the 27th of March at noon Eastern time at White Mountain Knives. So these are already in. White Mountain has them. They're dropping. I'm holding my 80s camo Growler XL right now, as a matter of fact. Heck yeah, dude. Growler XL is sick. Chimping ain't easy. Chimping ain't easy. I wash it. I hope you wash it if it's been 2 years. You still should get a new one, man. I just washed all 8 of those Divo claws that I currently have. Yeah, I think we're going to put some up on the website. You know, I think I'm just going to sell them in like 3 packs or something. So you pay $10 and you get plus shipping or whatever, and you get 3 random cloths. You know, I'll pick the colors because it's just going to depend on what I have. You might get 3 blue ones. You might get 3 white ones. You might get red, white, and blue. I don't know. But I figure why not? Timascus hardware kit. So I answered that. I don't know if it was before that or after, but we have Zircutai, and it's not a hardware set. I call them accent kits. It's a clip and backspacer. So let's say you got this 80s version. You could throw Zircutai backspacer and clip on it. You could throw purple anno tie on it. That would be pretty cool on here, the purple tie or purple crystallized tie. One of those two would be sick on here. Even Zircutai might blend with this one. Or on this one, you could do satin titanium. That would probably be pretty cool. That's probably what Austin would do. So I don't know. You guys have options for stuff. I'm trying to think. You know, you could maybe get away with like zirconium on this one. We have just zirconium ones, which is like black, you know. That could work on the purple one. It could work on this one. I don't know why exactly you do zirconium instead of PVD. It kind of looked the same, but you'd have zirconium. You know, it'd be heavier. But yeah, we don't have any hardware kits. So we don't have like screws for sale. So, you know, you got to figure out what would look good. What steel are you considering for the big boy? So for the big boy, it's probably, I don't know. I'll ask the dealers, but we usually do S90V with the Tall Boy series. Although with the Growler XL, we did 154 CM just because I wasn't sure how they would sell. It's such a big knife. Like, does it make sense to have S90V and make it more expensive? I don't know. That's something we have to decide before we place that order. It's kind of, you know, I'll talk to the dealers and see what they think, what they would prefer, and we can go from there. But it would either be S90V or 154 CM is my guess, just because it's a Kubi OEM. Those are the 2 steels that they do really well for us, and I don't really see the point in doing any other steel with them. They do have Vanex now, but they only have it in like certain blade thicknesses, they said, and I think it has to be pretty thick. So it hasn't made sense. And like S35, the price point is too close to S90. There's no point. 14C, I'd rather just go to 154, you know, so we'll see. Got lucky and picked up a tall boy on Blade Binge. Need a small and a big now. There you go. You're caught up because that's the only one that's released so far. So you have caught up. I'm going to have to go tall boy, I think. Hell yeah, dude. Pick up a tall boy. Oh, you were the one with the big hands, right? Yeah, you probably want the big boy or trying to think. What do we have coming out? Oh, you know what would be good? Probably we have the Growler V3 coming out. It'll either be next or the one after. We have the small boy and the Growler V3 in production right now, so it'll be one of those. But the Growler V3 is a, you know, this size, the full size version of this knife, right? 3.3 inch blade, 7.5 overall, that size. Let's see. That perp is coming home. The crystal tie is growing on me. Hoping you guys try purple or green. The hand satin is fire. Yeah, I don't know. When I look at crystallized titanium, I really like the blue for some reason. I'm normally a purple guy, but the purple tends to kind of lean towards pink sometimes, and then it's like, I don't know. I do like the green. We had a really cool version of the binge prototypes that we did, where we did green anno, and then we did all acid wash, and we called it the Dirty Money. I feel like that would be a cool version. You could probably do the same thing, but do green crystallized tie, and then just do like bead blast or something. That would look okay. But I think the blue looks good. Like the one we did with TPK on the Lush, the blue had purple in it. Like you can see it in the backspacer here. These inlays don't really have that though. I called it cotton candy crystallized tie, but these are more just blue. Now you didn't miss anything. Kev's going over the knives I want. Looks like the inlays are screwed into the scale. Oh, yeah. They're just very tight. Exactly. That's why I didn't want to... Like, if you get one of these and you want to take the scales out, you can do it. And, you know, for all I know, the camo ones will just fall out. Like, I don't know. But I tested it with a crystallized tie prototype. And when I took the screw out and the pivot out, I literally could not get the inlay out. I would have needed like something to pry it out. And at that point, I just, you know, I tried to think about what if a customer had to do this, right? And I know that I would, A, get a lot of people that would not be happy. And B, I would probably be fixing a lot of knives that got scratched. Which wouldn't be their fault because the inlay's too tight and they're trying to pry it out because I sold them another inlay. So we just decided not to sell the inlays. The other option was to shrink down the inlay so it fit a little looser. But, you know, to me, one of the hallmarks of Riot, like one of the reasons you want to use Riot is their unbelievable transitions on inlays. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a Riot knife with a bad transition. They're all impeccable. Like, it's incredible the work they do on inlays. And I'm not going to deteriorate that just so I can sell inlays. So anyway, that's where we're at. But yes, they are screwed in. They're both, you know what I mean? They're press fit and screwed in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I like the heft of titanium over the lightness of carbon fiber most of the time. Yeah, I understand that, but in this case, you have the titanium, and then you just have a little bit of the camo carbon or micarta or whatever, right? So you still get 3 ounces or whatever. It's not like it's a 2-ounce knife because it's all carbon, right? Like we do that a lot. Like, you know, this is bigger, but for instance, you know, this is a lot of camo carbon, and this has a tab lock, inset lock, like I was talking about as well. So this is very light for the size of the knife. So I get it. On a knife like this, you probably want titanium then, right? If you like the heft. By the way, this blurple look is absolutely sick. I'm calling this the blurple nurple. I think we're going to cut out the purple nurple and do the blurple nurple. I can't even help myself. I got to laugh. But like this, it still feels like a titanium knife. You know what I mean? But you just happen to have a cool inlay in it. That's how I look at that. Let's see. Wish the choil was a little bigger. The finger choil, yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's kind of a middle ground between the original Pony Stout, and then there was the premium Pony Stout, which wasn't really. It wasn't more premium than this. It was a stupid name. That's why we dropped it. Anyway, on the first Pony Stout, the plunge grind was atrocious, but we had a huge finger choil. On the premium Pony Stout, we tried to fix the plunge grind, but we lost some of the finger choil, which was annoying to me. So on this one, we tried to kind of like split the gap on that. So you have plenty of finger choil, but you still have a better plunge grind than the original one. You can see where the plunge comes to. It's not perfect by any means. We probably need to just cut a notch in it and call it a day. But there's something about the aesthetic that, I don't know. Anyway, that's been a conundrum since the beginning. But the finger choil is, I mean, I don't have any issue with it. But, you know, and for me anyway, on most finger choils, the way I use them, I'm pulling back on them. So I'm not like putting my finger in this way straight down, you know. I'm always on the back side of the choil like this. My finger's kind of sideways. But if you have like huge sausage fingers, then yeah, it could be, I guess, too small. I don't know. Like if you look at the big boy, I bet you the choils are about the same. So you get a little more on the big boy. But I mean, it's not that much more. And that's an XL versus a, you know, mini. Let me see if I can compare it to the Stout. Maybe this will be a better compare. Yeah, it's definitely smaller. Quite a bit smaller than the Stout. Choil, you can see that. But this one's massive to me. Like, you can see how much. Like, I don't even need any of the choil that's on the blade. I can just use the handle. So that's going to be preference for sure. Yeah, this one is the dark wash version. So it's all dark wash with this beautiful denim micarta inlay. This micarta comes from Current Ink or Current Composites Inc. And they're a U.S. company. And Riot actually uses their stuff. And that's where we found it when we did the Lush. I just loved it. So I contacted them and we ordered a master sheet of it, which is like a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of this stuff. And then they cut it into 12 by 12 sections for us. So I have a bunch of it in the basement to send to Kubi for stuff because they use that shitty Chinese micarta. So like the small boy, there's a micarta version of the small boy. That's going to use this stuff. But I just think it looks Real nice. Real nice, Clark. And then these are also numbered. It's numbered down in the inside of the backspacer. See if I can get it for you. The lefties are just, there's 5 of each, so it's out of 5. You can see it down there, 3 out of 5 on this one. I'll show you a different version that'll help. But yeah, there's lefties and righties. This one's the 80s camo carbon. So you can see it down there. There you go. So if it was right-handed, it would say, 5 out of 50, not 5 out of 5. This one's got the 80s inlay. It's got satin hardware, bead blast, titanium handle, clip, backspacer. And then it has a belt satin Van X blade. So if you like belt satin, this is your version right here. And they got it right this time for the lefties, so they didn't, reverse them. If you look at my 80s Lush, it has a hand satin because they screwed up and switched they switched this version and this version on the Lush on the lefties. It's kind of funny. But yeah, this one looks cool. You guys know I love belt satin, although I have become a slut for DLC belt satin instead. Brian, what up, dude? Ferric chloride used for acid stonewash doesn't react with titanium. You can use it to dissolve steel screws that get stuck in titanium without damaging the titanium. Interesting. I didn't know that. So it does the opposite. I thought it would just totally melt the titanium. It actually doesn't react to it. That's cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate you stopping by as well. Bill Doyle, what up, dude? Hey, guys. Sorry for lurking. Nightmare project tonight. Had to replace an old Delta shower valve that broke inside the wall while I was trying to change the internals. If you know, you know. Yeah, I don't know, but that sucks, dude. That sucks. So you busted the wall out and everything. Yeah, that's good stuff. Pretty sure an acid wash can help with corrosion resistance, where a dark wash will make it more prone to rusting from the blasting. Yeah, I understand that, but then you're doing the stone washing, which is kind of resealing it, right? Like where the blasting would open up pores, the stone washing would kind of close them. I think that's kind of how it works. Like stone wash is always more resistant than a blast, obviously. So I don't know if that evens out on the dark wash, but I tend to agree with what you're saying. But then with Van X, it just doesn't really matter. So you didn't shut off the water to the house. She's talking to Bill. What up, Grady? What's going on, Chris? It's cracking, dude. Let's see. I'm showing you the pictures of the haggard Divo. We're still talking about the rag. It's never scratched a knife. All right, I'll check it out after this, dude. My phones are all tied up as cameras right now. I want a hot neon pink Miami Vice version of the Divo cloth. Yeah, that'd be cool, man. But unfortunately, we don't have many options with the colors. It's like red, white, and blue. And that's really it, because otherwise we have to. I researched other cloths, like the ones that Jack Wolf uses, but those are like way more expensive. And, the reason we include one with every single, purchase or, decent size, like a knife, obviously, or a bit driver or whatever, a mug, you get a cloth, is because they're not stupid expensive. If they were like $5 a cloth, we'd have to be more conservative with them. So I'd rather keep the colors the way they are and be able to, give them away. In the wrong stream, looking for small. Still. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you, man. We're almost there, buddy. Almost there. I need a big boy in 80s. Well, talk to Austin at TPK. Hopefully he decides to order big boys and picks the 80s again. As far as I'm concerned, that's his colorway with us. So unless he doesn't choose to order something, you should see it with them. The green crystallized tie would be sick. Yeah. Well, if they do well, we can we can do another run and do some green. I think I covered this, but the blade length is 2.9 and the overall length is 6.5. Let me confirm the blade length. It could be 3.1. Sometimes I mix it up with other stuff. Thought it was 2.9. So technically the blade length is 2.9. The cutting edge is 2.75. The overall length is 6. I'm gonna do this the ghetto way. 6.5, maybe 6.6. I would have had my OG Pony Stout here with me for this live. Hell yeah, dude. The choil would look bigger if you bring the base of the blade out, giving it more belly. Yeah, but that would change the knife. And I like having the straighter blade. That's kind of, I'm a sheep's foot warning kind of guy. I'm cutting Amazon boxes open, I'm cutting down Amazon boxes. Dog One in the house. What's up, Dog One? Whiskey Ace. Have a growler and mini Pony Stout and premium stout. Can't decide on the growler XL or the Pony Stout V2. Glad y'all are making great things, but damn it, I can't keep getting knives. That's all right, man. I told a couple other guys this because, they said the same thing. They said, I'm doing a no knife month or whatever, or I'm not going to buy any knives this year. I'm taking a hiatus, So I try to explain it to these guys. These aren't knives. These are pocket tools. This is a pocket tool. It is not a knife. So, I mean, yes, you can slice something with it. You can cut something with it, but it's not a knife. Okay? It's a pocket tool. So, you can buy one. There you go. A little more premium than the premium. Exactly. The idea behind the premium pony was the original pony was very budget, right? That was I think we sold that knife for $75 or $60. It was dirt cheap. It was 14C and it was like blue micarta or black G10. Those were the two options we had, I think. And then we had like satin or stonewash and black wash in each, right? So we had like 4 versions. And so we added titanium, we added S90V, right? And that made it more premium than the original one. So I was like, all right, we call it the Premium Pony Stout. It had a good ring to it. But then I'm like, shit, if we do one with like Riot, now what? We call it the Extra Premium Pony Stout. So I'm kind of just letting that go. We're just forgetting about the premium part. And, you know, this is just a V2 pony. That's how I see it. Almost 2 years. Hell yeah, Paul. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dog. Sever7. What's up, dude? Heading to bed. Only 3 hours of sleep last night. Later. Peace, dude. Have a good night, man. Need that 80s big boy too. Would you ever have a Divo with a Tonto? We've never done a Tonto, a Tonto. I mean, if the situation, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not against Tontos. It's just like I'm not against Bowie buoys. It hasn't occurred to me when we design stuff that, just hasn't happened, I guess. But I don't have anything against them necessarily. Just, I guess my reservation is like, I don't know if anything would catch my interest enough with a Tanto to do it. But, I would if I saw something sick, I love Divo Blurple. I have it on my 80s Growler XL. Please use it in future Divo projects, including Screwdriver. Yeah, we definitely like the Blurple as well. So you'll be seeing more Blurple. Bro, these V2s are too cool. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you, dog. Appreciate you. I missed out on both 80s Tallboy drops. If I miss out again, I'm done, and it's back to collecting bottle caps for me. Let's get some money shots of that all dark wash. Money shots? Like you want me to hold it up? Is that what that means? I wanted to show you guys some pictures. There's a dude on Instagram. I gotta look up his. I don't know if he has like a screen name, but his name is Matt Ansel. I think you say it Ansel. And dude takes some fucking mean pictures with Divos. And he did some this week that like just really caught my eye. And I had to ask him, like, dude, is this AI? And he said it's not AI. He just, I'll show them to you in a moment. Let me just run through this version. This is the pop camo. I think I've talked about this a bunch of times, but we came up with this colorway. I wanted to have a colorway that was like, that's Divo's color, and I'm not saying that nobody else can use it. You guys can, you can contact Camo Carbon and order it if you want. They're not going to list it on their website. At least that's what they told me. But it's not like exclusive to us. I thought we could do that, but then they were like, no, we can't do that. Probably because he saw how awesome it was. He was like, I could sell the shit out of this stuff. Anyway, I took my favorite colors out of 80s. My favorite colors in 80s are the orange and the pink. So we took the pink and the orange out, and then you guys know we love the purple because we also developed this purple with Camo Carbon. They had a layer of stainless steel with it, and it looked like it had like white spots and gray shit in it, and I didn't like it. So I asked them to remove that and just do black and purple. That's how we ended up with purple flow. So we took the purple and added that in. So we had pink, orange, and purple, which if you take the first letter of each of those, you get pop. So I call it pop camo. Just kind of worked out. So that's what this is. And this was our first attempt with it. So hopefully you guys like it. I think it's sexy, actually. So it worked out. I think it would look good with purple accents. So you'll probably see that in the future. And I think it looks good with all black. This has DLC belt satin, of course, which is beautiful. This is basically a unrustable blade. I mean, you got DLC on top of Van X Super Clean. Like that's going to be a tough one to rust. I'm sure somebody will manage it, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm really happy with the pop camo. So that's where that comes from. And that is the last one of the Pony Stout V2. So you guys have now seen them all. Let me know which one's your favorite if you want to. And if you're going to pick one up on the 27th at White Mountain Knives, use the code Lefty10. That'll save you 10%. So you can get these for what I think is a super reasonable price. You know, you're talking Riot OEM, you're talking Van X Super Clean, and you're talking titanium with camo carbon inlays, crystal tie inlays, brass, denim micarta, awesome camo carbons, internally mounted pocket clip, internally relief cut bolster lock design. And this one, and this one are $260 retail. If you use a discount code, that'll make it $234. $234 for everything I just explained, OEM by Riot. If you get this one with DLC, this one with crystallized titanium, or this one with DLC, it's $275 retail, which comes out to $247.50 with a discount code. So you are sub $250 on every one of these Pony Stout V2s. Excuse me. I mean, I think that's a goddamn good deal. So can I swap these now? Hey, look at that. So I'm really happy that we were able to not only... So I'm going to try to explain this and not sound like a dick because I don't want to sound like a dick. When we did the premium Pony Stout, we're back to the premium Pony Stout. It was tough, right? Because we used QSP for the original Pony Stout. And the original Pony Stout blew my card up, Stonewash 14C, and you're talking, $75 or whatever, right? And that's before the discount. So yeah, you're paying like, $68 or something for those out the door. You were, whatever. That was great. And they did a good job with the QC. They did a good enough job, right? So then when we wanted to do a nicer version, like I said, we added titanium, we added S90V. The problem was because of QSP's pricing, we couldn't do belt satin. Like we wanted to do belt satin, but then the knife would have been, instead of trying to hit that 100 and I think what did we sell those for? 175 or 199? I can't remember. But instead of hitting that price point, they were going to be like 220 or 230, and it didn't make sense anymore because it's a liner lock, right? Like it's not like it became a titanium frame lock or something. It was still a liner lock. We updated the lock bar. It had that really nice, like huge lock bar access with the nice milling on it. But it was a liner lock. So, you know, we're not going to charge $250 for the way that was constructed. It didn't make sense to me, right? So we had to limit our choices so that we could reach the price point we wanted to reach. And I feel like I personally learned a big lesson with the premium pony stout. And, you know, I think it was realized in the way that knife sold. Like, it didn't do terrible or anything, but it didn't do awesome either. And I think that's because we allowed ourselves to be limited by the price point that, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain, but instead of just stopping and being like, okay, we can't do belt satin and we can't do this because the price point's just too much, right? And we want to stick with QSP because they did the original pony stout. That was our mistake. What we should have done is we should have switched it to Kubi. We should have just done whatever we wanted. We could have done the belt satin. We could have done the titanium, and we could have done titanium hardware, and we could have done milled pocket clip, and we could have really actually done the knife the way I pictured it in my head and had it be premium. And we would have probably had to charge a little more, but not that much more because it was Kubi versus QSP. At that time, the price points were there was a big enough gap, right? But because we wanted to stick with the same OEM, we kind of like forced ourselves into this corner. And I kind of like vowed never to do that again after that model. So like now, like the Lush, right? We did the Lush with concept. It went well and the price point was good, but we wanted to elevate it, right? And instead of trying to put lipstick on a pig, not that the Lush was a pig, it's just a figure of speech. Instead of trying to put lipstick on a pig, we moved the project to Riot. We redid the entire CAD and we pimped it out, right? Like we did an internally mounted pocket clip. We did a bolster lock that was, I mean, in my opinion, way like just nicer looking. We switched the steel, obviously, to Vanex. We could do all these different finishes that, you know, Concept has like 2 finishes. That's all they'll do. You ask them to do anything that they don't want to do, and it's like, you just get shut down. If it's not in their comfort zone, they're out. Like you can't even do a captured pivot. Like what the fuck? And I like Concept. It's just that can be frustrating as a company using them as an OEM. It's like you're trying to bring them the project and like you want a captured pivot on your fucking knife design and they can't do it. They'll just change your file to a you know, spinning pivot design. It's like, okay, cool. So anyway, that's my little rant and spiel about that. I just, I feel like I learned a valuable lesson on that one. And then it was always like, Riot's so expensive, you know, like we would love to use Riot, but their pricing, you know, because a lot of people, when you compare Riot and Best Tech made stuff, the price point's about the same, right? When you look at the brands that sell those knives, right? You don't see a big gap between the price of a Riot made knife and the price of a Best Tech made knife. And that's because guys are just, you know, they're utilizing that price point that people expect, right? Like, so if I use Riot, well, people expect that knife to be $350. Why wouldn't I charge $350? You know what I mean? Even though I'm paying $50 or $100, whatever less for that knife using Riot than Best Tech, which is like a secret, you know. Nobody wants you to know that, because then you'll know. And I don't really care what people charge for stuff, because everybody has a different overhead. Everybody has a different business model. Like, one guy is living off this, you know, one guy had let's just look at it this way. One guy had a really nice job and he left it to start this knife company. And now he has to, you know, be able to keep his income the same, because he's got a family and he's got a mortgage and he's got all this shit, right? Well, guess what? That guy's charging $350 for his fucking Riot made pocket knives. Another guy is doing this on the side. It's not his full-time gig. He's not supporting his entire family on it. Well, that guy can sell the knife for less, right? That doesn't make the one guy who charges more bad. Like, people, I think, have this weird, it's like a negative connotation or a negative thing when people have a certain price point, right? That's not really like what I'm trying to attack. For me, it's more just like looking at it as a consumer. What would I want? Well, I would want the price to be less, obviously. So that's what we try to provide to our customers, right? At least as long as we can, you know what I mean? At some point, things might change. Our dynamic might change, and then we might have to charge more. But, like, you get what I'm trying to say. So anyway, part of us switching to using Riot for some stuff was kind of like, for me, it was like a challenge. Like, can we use them? Can we get that exceptional level of quality and still be able to keep that price point to where we're extremely competitive, like we try to be, right? And the answer is yes, you can do it with Riot. So I think that's cool. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. Let's see what you guys have to say. Some more shit about bottle caps. Tanto Tantos, okay. Could you copyright that color combo? Probably not. And even if we could, we wouldn't do it because we're not gay. You know, companies that do that, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. Like, everybody knows that Brittany camo carbon and black is a blade binge thing, right? I don't think that means nobody else can use that material or color or whatever. Like, I just reviewed a knife from, it was a prototype from a company called Portage Knife Co. I think the knife was called the Winds. And he did a version that I reviewed, and I thought it looked like a dark mode version of the knife, right? But I don't think he's connected with Blade Binge. Maybe he is. I could be wrong. But, like, what does it matter to Blade Binge if that guy sells that knife directly on his website or whatever in that colorway? Like, who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't change anything. I think if everybody just has fucking common decency and respect, like, for example, if we are doing a model and we're working with 3 or 4 different dealers, right? And Blade Binge is one of those dealers, okay, you know that I'm going to make sure that none of the other dealers are going to use the Brittany camo carbon, because that's, in my mind, it's reserved for Blade Binge. That's their thing, right? They built their brand on that. I don't think they need to have it copyrighted for me to have some just respect and make sure that that's what is allocated to them. It's the same thing with TPK and 80s. With Divo knives, if TPK is involved, 80s camo carbon is the default for them. If they decide not to use it, then I would probably be okay with somebody else using it because they decided not to. But, initially I would always just, select 80s for TPK, and then they can decide if they want to use it or not. But it's their colorway with us, right? It's kind of the same way with us when we sell stuff directly. We do purple, right? We do the purple and black. We do the purple camo carbon. So we pretty much expect that our other dealers aren't going to choose to do purple. Like, I would just be like, no, because we're doing it. But nobody does that. They understand, right? Like, it's just common sense. But if some other company, on the other side of the planet or the other side of the community decides to do fucking purple, like, who cares? Shit, I might buy one because I like purple, it's like this shit with Blade HQ and the donut stuff. Like, I like Blade HQ, right? And the people that have been running their marketing team lately are really cool. I've enjoyed my experience working with them and talking to them. But the way they went about the whole donut thing, and with Crispy Donut community, who, if you guys haven't noticed, has disappeared off the face of the earth because they got fucking legally bullied into it by Blade HQ. That's obviously what happened. They didn't actually tell me that, but the writing is on the wall with that one. Like, that shit annoys me. It's like there's some dude on there's like a dealer or something on Whatnot that thinks they own 80s camo carbon or something, which makes zero sense to me because there's so many companies and people that have been using 80s since it first launched that, like, nobody owns 80s. Nobody is the sole company that is allowed to use 80s. Like, case in point, camo carbon will sell 80s to anybody because it's fucking popular and he makes money. And why would he just sell it to one company? Sorry, there's some like shit on my keyboard here. What is this? So I just hate when people try to do that shit, now it's different if you develop, like, you're working with, like I was saying with camo carbon with the pop camo, right? If they had said, yeah, sure, we'll make that, that'll be your exclusive thing. I don't see that the same way because, one, I would never copyright it and then attack people if they did use it for whatever reason. But two, we would have came up with that colorway ourselves, right? And then we have the exclusivity with the company making it. So, like, to me, that's fine. Like, if that were the case, like, whatever. But I don't know. If anybody at that point was like, hey, do you care if we use this? I'd be like, no, I don't give a fuck. It's just cool that, you have a certain color that, is tied to your brand. Like, that's the cool part. Not that nobody else can use it. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's stupid. Lefty, is steel a cheaper material to use than, say, G10 or micarta? I don't know, dude. I've never gotten quoted for anything for steel. I've never tried to do a steel handle. That's an interesting question. I don't know, man. Probably. or maybe the same. Like my Carta and G10 are pretty damn cheap, man. It's mostly coming down to what's your blade steel at that point. I couldn't stop flicking Kelly's Purple Saloon. I liked it so much. I picked up a Blade Binge Dark Mode Saloon. Sick, dude. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that, man. They got 2 saloons over there. I actually caught a live. What's up, Sam? Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate that. I want a winch, but Portage doesn't have a website. Yeah, they're at the beginning stages, you know. He just got his prototypes, or you know, he has the prototypes. It's not that far along yet. Exactly. Respect is key. Yep, I agree. Yep, you just have to be an adult. I agree. That stuff's like so. I mean, it's so obvious to me, but. And then the other thing that bugs me, just in general, about people is like just communicate. Like, there's so many times where like there's just some silly little misunderstanding, and one person won't just talk to another person and clear it up. It's so, you know, it like becomes this big thing, and then they hold grudges, and then they like hate another person because, you know, and it's just something silly. It's like if you just talk to people, you can figure things out. I don't know, like people who are afraid to just have a conversation because they don't want to get into a confrontation. That kind of stuff is annoying. You said it. I didn't say it. Let's see. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. We got more than 2 Divos of the same kind. Hell yeah. Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate that. Hey, look, there's the monkey again. What's he doing there? You got a glove? Oh, he's got a monkey fist. I get it. I get it. Okay. That's cool. I get it. I respected Crispy. It was inventive to me, not my particular, but it enlarged the community, spurred more inventiveness. Yeah, they were cool guys. They're still around, by the way. They started or I guess they changed the name. I don't know how that worked, but have you seen the brand? I think it's Voyager. Is it Voyager or Voyage Knife Company? They have like USA made fixed blades, and they have some other stuff. Yeah, I like those guys. Drew and Luke are cool. I just hate what happened to them with that. Like, it's so stupid. They had like they were on Facebook, I think, or Reddit for I think years with a patch company, or like a patch community where they made those types of patches that had like, you know, donut theme and the pink and the blue and stuff like that. And it was all it was like geared towards law enforcement, right? Because they are both in law enforcement. One of them is a corrections officer, and one of them is a police officer. And so it's kind of like funny, right? Like, you know, cops, donuts. And then you're thinking about cops, and then you have like these fucking donuts with sprinkles on them and pink and blue. And, you know, they were selling patches and stuff like that. I think they had like a monthly patch drop and that kind of shit. And then they started moving into knives. And when they moved into knives, that's when Blade HQ caught on to them and got all pissed because they had the whole Donut Warrior thing. And I guess Blade HQ, I don't think they ever went to court. I think that Blade HQ was willing to go to court, or at least acted like they were. and didn't want to just have a conversation about it, which is what I would have done. Like, hey, we both do the donut thing, like, whatever. Just don't, just if you don't make a knife that looks like a fucking Kalashnikov, but whatever. It doesn't matter. They want to make different knives. I don't know. I just think it's fucking stupid. I've handled some steel-handled budget knives that felt and looked like titanium with bead blast. They were $30. No, I don't want you to send me one, dude. I've seen them. I've handled them. Have you ever handled like a what's that company? Is it Reich? But it's spelled with a U, Ruike, Ruike, Reich, whatever. They use steel handles and they're nice, but I can tell the difference, right? Like it's heavier because it's steel. What was that one steel knife that I really liked? It was a Real Steel. Real Steel sucks, by the way, guys. Just from a creator standpoint, like it was a bunch of guys. I don't know if anybody here can confirm, but a bunch of guys in my pass around had the same thing happen where they reached out and then they sent us some stuff, but they never sent you the knife you wanted to check out. You'd be like, hey, I'd love to check this out or whatever. Most companies, they're like, okay. And then they send you the knife because guess what? If you're interested in that knife, you're more likely to be positive about it, right? I mean, it's just common sense to me rather than just sending people the newest random thing that you make. If somebody actively is like interested in something, they're more likely to like it. But anyway, they would send me like budget shit or whatever. And then they never paid for the commission on the affiliate link stuff. I don't think I ever like amounted to a ton of money or anything, but yeah, they just like they didn't pay people's commission and then they just like disappear. They just stop answering you and they just kind of drift into the unknown or whatever. I haven't heard from them in years now. So fuck Real Steel. But anyway, they had this knife. I forget the name of it. I think it was called the Sylph, Sylph. You can look it up. Sylph. And that was actually a steel handle, but it was like bent around. So it was like an integral, basically. And so it wasn't super heavy because of the way it was designed. That knife was really cool. So, I mean, there's definitely been a steel handled knife that I've liked, but it's very rare. And I definitely don't want to check out the $30 one you have. Would Camo Carbon tell you if someone else used a certain color combo? Say someone didn't know about Divo Pop and asked for those colors. Do you think Camo Carbon would tell them? I don't know. That's a weird scenario. So first thing I would say is I don't think many people are just asking for different colors and ordering different colors. It is more common now. Like Blade City has done it and we've done it. And Blade Binge has tried to have them tweak Brittany camo, but it ends up just looking like fucking Brittany camo anyway. But that's kind of the point. I think they just wanted it to have more of the color in it or something. But the two examples I can think of are us and Blade City, who has, I think, like Jazzy, and they have the Ultimate Warrior one. But for the most part, people are just ordering what they see. You go to the Camo Carbon website or you go to a show and you can see all the colors they have, and then you order a sheets of that, right? But I mean, yeah, we talked to Camo Carbon about it, and because when I first talked to Andy at Camo Carbon years ago at Blade Show, he said, if you came up with like a colorway that you wanted, we could make it and you could have it as like an exclusive color for you. But I think he said that years ago, and then he realized later that if it's a color that he can sell the shit out of, why would he limit himself to one buyer? So, like, what if he had given somebody exclusivity to 80s? He would have lost out at this point probably on hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions. I don't fucking know. Camo carbon is not cheap, by the way, guys. A lot of times our orders for camo carbon end up being like 12 grand. And that's probably average, because there's definitely much larger companies than us. So think about like Kaiser or Concept. They're probably spending 50 grand a pop at camo carbon. So potentially he could have lost like millions of dollars if he had let somebody have exclusive rights to 80s. Actually, I can guarantee you he would have lost millions of dollars because 80s is what literally built camo carbon. Like, not that he only sold 80s, but the fact that 80s existed, it really blew up the popularity of camo carbon. Yeah, like to the point where now I only want camo carbon. Like I don't want fat carbon really. I just like the way camo carbon, I like that material better. Anyway, what was that? What was the question? The exclusivity thing. Yeah. So like when we came up with pop camo, we ordered it and then he showed us the color and I was like, damn, dude, that looks great. And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, so you can just make that exclusive for us? And he was like, he's like, no. He said he couldn't do it, but he would just not list it on his website. So basically he's not actively, like, people can't go to the website and see that color and then choose it, because that's a lot of times how people shop for camo carbon colors. But if somebody came to him and said, I want to order 3 sheets of pop camo, he would do it, basically, is how I understood that. I didn't care enough to have an argument about it. I honestly, it's not a big deal. And it'd be cool to have other people use it, because maybe they would reference that we came up with it. I don't know. So, yeah. So, no, I don't think he would tell them anything. I think he would just fucking place the order. Voyage Knife Works. There you go. Yeah, those are great dudes, by the way. Shop confidently with Voyage Knife Works. Nick has 3 sets of Divo knives. Divo twins. Sick, dude. Yo, what up? SC Knife Monkey. See, there's a lot of people who like monkeys and knives. It's a thing. What can I tell you? Hey, it's kind of cool. That looks like a picture down there, doesn't it? But then I can be like, whoosh. Desert. Oh, that's what it's called. What did I call it? Donut Warrior? I think I called it Donut Warrior. That's great. Dessert Warrior isn't that cool to me, honest. No, dude, it's stupid. I don't like the Dessert Warrior stuff. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really into the crispy donut stuff either. It's not my style. I like colorful stuff, but in a different way, I guess. I don't know. But I still think that the crispy donut guys had, they had the right to do what they were doing. In my opinion, they weren't interfering with what Blade HQ was doing. Shit, Blade HQ could have just fucking placed a big order with them and sold their knives and made some money. Like, they could have supported it. Or, for, I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios I could come up with. Like, they could have fucking bought Crispy Donut Community and you know, intertwined it with Desert Warrior. There's a lot of things they could have done instead of sending cease and desists and being gay. You know, that's my opinion. They did send a cease and desist or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah. They did the same thing to, ironically, they did the same thing to the Blade Runner Outpost guy. His shop used to be called Blade Runner HQ. And I guess because Blade HQ is in the name, Blade Runner HQ. Now, I don't know when he started that. I don't know if he thought about it and was like, oh, I could call this Blade Runner HQ, and then Google search will kind of help me because it'll have Blade HQ in it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was like calculated, or more likely he just likes Blade Runner and came up with a fucking name. It was like, oh, you know, HQ seems to be a common thing with knives, so I just call it Blade Runner HQ. I don't fucking know. And again, like, I would never have gone after them for that. Now, the difference is Blade HQ is like a corporate fucking entity, right? They're not me and Colin working, you know, a side hustle or whatever. You know, it's a pretty big business. So, like, that's what happens when things get corporate. You know, when corporate gets involved, this is when this stupid shit happens. Like, just the amount of money that's spent in the world on the dumbest shit, like using lawyers for so many different things that are just like, you could just have a conversation with somebody. Like, it's fucking retarded. But yeah, that happened to the Blade Runner Outpost guy. It used to be Blade Runner HQ, and then he had to drop the HQ, and I guess he switched it to Blade Runner Outpost. And I think that was around the time he like discovered Whatnot or something. And he was like one of the first knife companies on Whatnot, and he's taken off on there. Like, he kills it on there. But I've had like people from his streams or whatever, like talking shit about 80s, because I guess he says he owns it or something. I don't fucking know. I haven't actually. The only time I've seen his stream is when I've done a Whatnot and I've done the raid thing at the end, and I've sent people to his live. Because you can like choose another stream to send your crowd to at the end of a Whatnot. And I asked the people in the stream, I'm like, what do you want to go to? And then I send them there. I don't care who it is. So I haven't listened too much, but I've heard he like was talking shit because Divo uses 80s and he owns 80s or some shit. I don't know. Which makes no sense, because like you could go back to like 2021 and find me with 80s on the original Stout. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when 80s first came out, we actually sold. I had Carbodize. I don't know if anybody here remembers Carbodize. Great dude, but he was always so busy with his day job. It was hard for him to like communicate. So a lot of people had a bad experience getting responses from him. I always did, but anyway, he's like a machinist, and he would make us 80s inlays for the Stout, and we would sell them on our website. So we would buy the 80s and ship it to him, and then he would machine it, and then he'd send us scales and we'd sell them. And we had to sell those for $120 because we were paying whatever it was, 85 or something per scale set. Like, I wonder what happened to Carbodize. That would be one way to get inlays for like the Pony Stout or something, if Carbodize made them. I thought that was I always thought that was cool because, you know, he was making them. He's in Utah, right? So, like, he's making them in the States. He's making the scales for, yeah, it's a Chinese knife, but now you're sending money to people in the U.S. for a U.S. product. You know, like, I felt like that was a good thing. And we also had him make, I had the idea to make NAF's lander scales. There's an example of somebody who's not an asshole, right? Ben Peterson with NAFs. He just fucking open sourced the scales for that knife. He's like, hey, we designed this knife. It takes scales, and here's the file. You can just make whatever you want. We'll also sell you scales if you want to buy our scales. But hey, if you want to fucking make your own or whatever, you want to sell them. There was companies just selling scales for his knives. And so I was like, shit, can you make 80s and other camo carbon scales for these? And we had him make us, like, it was very limited. It was like fucking 20 sets or something. Because they were $100 and the knife was like 40. So, like, not many people were going to pay $100 for scales on a $40 knife. We sold them all, but the point remains, you know, that's one way to do business. Then there's the other way. Be a dickhole. Yeah, it's funny how people can think of the same thing at the same time. Yeah, you know, and it's funny how it's very difficult to, at least for me, it's very difficult to, like, to train your brain not to think that somebody copied somebody else. Like, it's always, when I see that, right? Like, there was that recent situation with Ramet and what's that guy's name? He's like Ukrainian. He's a designer. Not Olex. It's somebody else. Ivan B. Braganitz. There was that situation with Ivan where he called out Ramet because he had this design with this, like, Egyptian handled coffin dagger thing. And then Ramet had a similar-ish design. And he, like, called them out and said they copied him. And he had his knife prototyped in China somewhere, not by Ramet, but you know, I guess the thought was somebody worked at a shop and then came over to Ramet, and I guess that person could have stolen the design. And I talked about it on the live stream. I actually showed you guys the two knives, and we had a whole conversation about it. And I was kind of thinking, like, it's almost too close to, like, you know, but it's really hard for me not to look at things that are similar and be like, yeah, somebody had to have copied somebody. Like, there's no way two people could have had the same thought, you know. But that's very possible. So I don't know. That's a whole nother can of worms that we don't need me to ramble about. What my pet peeve is, companies naming a knife after Norse mythology Viking gods, and it looks like something a woman would carry. You got to give me an example, dude. You got to give me a couple of examples, please. I need to know. I need to know. It says a lot about a large company when they're worried about a much smaller company that was just doing its own thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess the thought process is we got to nip this in the bud now, because if we don't and this company gets bigger, then, you know, as they get bigger, one, they're going to have more of a what would you call it? they would have more of a history, right? So like they have more of a claim to it later on. So if we want to make sure that, you know, they don't take business from us later, we need to crush them now. And that's kind of the thinking, right? It's not like, oh, crispy donut community is hurting sales for us, right? But it's like, hey, in 10 years, they might be just as big as us, and they're selling these donut knives, and now, you know, it sucks for us. Well, guess what? We can fucking crush them now. Send them a cease and desist. We have money, so we can tell them we're going to take you to court and we're going to battle this out. We know that they don't have money. Like, they don't have enough money to go to court, hire lawyers, and battle this, right? So all we got to do is send them a letter, say we're going to sue them, and then they'll have to back the fuck down. That's what companies do all the time. Yeah, it's just it's paranoia, essentially. From a business standpoint, like I understand the thought process, but it also is like you're just shutting off, like you're shutting off empathy, like you're just shutting off human emotions. Dude, I just saw a Neves misdemeanor sold on Apostle P knife sale. Apostle P is still doing that knife sale? That's crazy. For $300, guys. Crazy good deal. Weren't they like $300 new? That seems like, I don't know. That seems like I don't know. Seems like the price is right, you know what I'm saying? Or a little higher than I would think, actually. They were different colored sprinkles. I didn't know all that. Damn, dude. I'm just kidding. Blade HQ is in a beef with Dream Tech right now over donut knives. That's great, dude. Good luck. Yeah, that's like Dream Tech, I assume, is like a Chinese fucking company. They're not gonna do shit, dude. What are you gonna do? Sue China? Have you seen the prices Blade HQ charges on Whatnot? I don't know how they stay on the app. Dude, I was thinking the other day. No, I haven't actually. They probably just do it to them. It's probably just marketing. Like, if you think about it, if I could hire somebody to go on Whatnot all the time, right, and sell Divos and just try to break even, essentially, that's marketing. That's why they do it. They probably don't even care about selling knives. That's probably why they put the prices where they put them. If people buy them, great. If not, there's just a bunch of people watching our live stream and fucking looking at Blade HQ stuff. But what I was going to say is, dude, Vero does a Whatnot like every other day. Like, I swear, every day I get an email that says, we're live on Whatnot. It's like, holy shit. I do want to try doing them for Divo, but I don't know. I feel like that would be something if we were full time. It's just too difficult now. So they basically, Divo stuff just gets included in my Whatnots. What time is it? 12:15. Fuck. Yeah, and Blade HQ on Whatnot always says they overprice map price, then get butt hurt when they sell for way cheaper. What do you mean? Like so why? I don't know, whatever. Why are they doing the auction then if they're worried about what the price? They should just have it start at that price, and then, that doesn't make any sense. But I could see that. North Mountain Blades made a Chop 2 in sprinkles. Did not sell in the U.S. because of Blade HQ. Now they are being sold on Whatnot. Why are these companies catering to Blade HQ? I guess maybe, I guess Blade HQ has some leverage with them because they're probably one of the bigger dealers for them. You know, maybe if they sell that company's knives, then it's like, okay, Blade HQ's like, hey, we're not going to fucking buy your knives anymore if you keep making donut shit. How would you love that conversation? Like, hey, Tiffany, because you know the Chinese companies, their names are all American names. They just pick one. It's not their real name. Like we work with Andy and Vicky. So like, like, hey Tiffany, listen, we're not gonna be able to buy your knives anymore. We've been buying 20 grand in knives every month on your drops, but we can't do it because you guys have been doing donuts. We saw you had sprinkles on that one knife. The Loki, the little tiny little gentleman folder. There you go, Rolf. The Loki. Yeah, we saw you had donuts on there and sprinkles and stuff. And I think we even saw one that had a hot dog with ketchup. So we're cutting you off, big dog. Unless you want to sign this here paper that says we will not make wiener dog knives, then we'll keep buying your knives. That's probably what happens. It'd be a great conversation. Whether it's donut sprinkles, 80s camo, a milling pattern, or whatever, people want to own things because they can't compete unless you're not allowed to use the same or similar things. It's meh. Yeah, like to a certain degree, I understand it. Like, okay, here's an example. The Nike check mark, right? I understand branding. Like branding is like, so it kind of it blurs the lines, and that's the problem, right? Like the Nike check mark, I understand, but fucking donut themed knives, like get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Also, does anybody else think it's weird that Amazon's logo is a penis? I've always wondered, like, did they do that just to fuck with people? Or does like nobody else see that and I'm just a weirdo because I see a penis? Does anybody else see that? Just curious. What about traditional pocket knives? They've been using 80s for. That's my point, dude. Like, I mean, we've been doing 80s on knives since like the original Stout. That's like 2022. I mean, I would venture to guess that they don't go back that far. Maybe they do. I don't fucking know. But it doesn't matter because like we all know camo carbon. We all know that everybody can buy 80s. Like nobody owns 80s. Like that's just stupid to even say that or think it. And then to like have viewers like going after people because of it. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just crazy viewers. Maybe it's just like, maybe it's like toxic followers or something. Maybe they're not actually saying that. I don't know. I'm back. Busy night. Horrible winds today in Cheyenne. Lots of downed trees, power lines, signs, and semi trucks. What a mess. My own fence was taken down with some siding. Damn, dude. Still, dude, sounds cool. You're in Wyoming. It's kind of funny. I'm in PA, right? And Eastern. And yesterday it was 80 degrees. And today it was snowing. And everybody here is like, oh my God, right? Like we were even talking about it in our group chat, the Pass Around group chat. Like I think Casey was like, it was 90 degrees yesterday here, and now it's snowing because he lives in Virginia. And I thought about it, and I was like, it's fucking March 12th. Like, it always snows in March. We usually get like one more big snowstorm in March. So the weird thing is that it was 80 degrees yesterday, not that it snowed today. So I find it kind of funny that we all are kind of like, oh my God, it snowed. It's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's fucking winter, dude. It's fucking winter for another 10 days. So it kind of makes sense. It snowed. Now, it being 80, 90 degrees in winter, that's fucking weird. Just a thought. Says, yeah, but on Blade Binge, there's like 500 if you can find one. Oh, you're saying they are like 500. So, yeah, but that's just because on Blade Binge, you can put whatever you want. Like, I just added my first Pew Pew to Gunbroker today. I'm going to try to use that app because the only other way I've ever sold those is like either you go to the store and they give you nothing, right? That's usually what happens. You just get like, an eighth of what you paid. Or like a friend or somebody wanted it, and then I actually got like a decent amount, but then you're always giving them a deal, right? So, but Blade Binge is the same way. You can put whatever price you want. So people have knives and they're like, oh, these are hard to find. I'm going to put it up for $500 and see if there's anybody stupid enough to pay that. And that's what that is. So that's not like a legitimate listing. That's just somebody trying to take advantage of somebody else. All right, cool. I'm glad you agree. I'm never not going to see it now. Dude, it's totally a dick. Have you talked to anybody about your Amazon logo thoughts? I see the Amazon penis, but I'm drinking. Has anybody else noticed the Chicago Bulls logo turned upside down is a robot getting with a crab? I don't know what you're saying there, man, but I'm going to look that up later. Well, you gotta look at it next time you get an Amazon package. There's a dick on it. I noticed it because if you watch Amazon Prime or whatever, they always, the logo flashes a bunch of times. Yeah, never seen the Amazon penis, but I see tatas everywhere. Oh, God. It's from all that weather manipulation. Like the Strix. What about the Strix? Is that a Viking Norse? Dude, the Strix is a fucking badass knife. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the Sparrow Strix or a different Strix? Because the Sparrow Knife Co. Strix is one of the most badass looking knives. So that works perfectly with a Norse mythology or whatever. So that might be a bad example, man. You got to give me something else. Hey, look, did I catch up? I caught up. Sparrow Strix going for $650. Didn't he just do another run? Didn't he just do another run? Is it the custom one or a Best Tech one? he's always like, it's the last run. It's kind of hard to do a last run when like you could make, you know, he's like, I could make 100 grand if I just do another run. People want these fucking knives. Like, you know, just make more, man. I thought, wait, what? I thought you were the one saying that you didn't like it when people used Norse mythology names with little tiny knives or whatever. Was that wasn't you? Maybe they were just getting things mixed up here. Sorry. Don't remember who it was, but there was a time that they glued in the inlays even though they had screws. Just don't want to go to swap inlays to find them glued in. Here, we can look, man. I'm pretty sure they're not glued in because we didn't ask for glue. We didn't ask for glue. A weird way to say that, wasn't it? I'm trying to come over here. You can see it. You can see me just, I'm trying to pick which one because I realized I have to take the pivot out. I'm like, fuck. Which one? I'm going to put skiffs in, so I guess I'll just do this one. The nice thing is it's a Riot, so like it'll just go back together. Well, you'll be able to see what I was talking about, maybe. So there, I took the 2 screws out, right? Let me see if I can go. Hey, there you go. So that just came out. So, I mean, it could just be the titanium, you know, or the metal ones. That's kind of cool. Take a look in there. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. I hope I did in my video at least. Our buddy Mark, New Breed EDC, he helped us with the CAD work on this knife. So shout out to Mark. If you see anything cool with the engineering elements, it's probably from him. Got the captive pivot. We got the so Riot will use a T6 on the insert screw. I forgot that I wanted to have a internally mounted wait, no, is that right? Yeah, internally mounted steel insert. Yeah, I think that's right. Oh, it's mounted from this side anyway. Basically, I wanted the screw to be hidden. I guess this is just under the inlay, but technically that would be internally mounted, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, pretty cool. But it's a T6 because if Riot tries to do this with a T8, the screw ends up being, the strength of the screw head is kind of compromised. So they do a T6 to keep as much thickness on the screw head as they can because they have to use a button head screw so it fits into this hole here to hide it, if that makes sense. I'm going to check that screw real quick. I was going to do a video disassembly on this knife to show you guys. I got to see if there's anything weird about it. I was just thinking because you have the clip mounted on the inside. Does that change anything on this? I don't think so. Maybe that was the way the Lush was. Like you had to take one side off. It was kind of like a different way to take it apart. But anyway, these are the inlays. And that, you know, this is obviously why the titanium one's way more. Like, look at this. This is a chunk. You know, so you got a piece of titanium there that's going to come out. But I'll make a separate video with the disassembly. I don't feel like doing it right now. It's already 12:30. So the Sparrow Strix, what I was talking about? You lost me, dog. I don't know. Somebody was saying they hate it when little girly knives have manly names, basically. But I don't think it was you. What's up, Todd? There we go. Let's see. That's why I love Riat right there. Centers up. Goes right back together. Gonna buy a few versions and do some swapping. I think the brass will look really good on the dark wash. Yeah, the brass would look good on there. You're right. That would look pretty good. And I think the micarta would look good on the stone wash still. I don't think it would really take away. So I think those are cool ones to switch for sure. Yeah. Good idea, dude. Disassembly skip swap video. Yeah, I'll do that on the pony. I try to always do that with our knives so that you guys have a reference. Because doesn't it suck when you buy something and then you can't figure something out and they don't have a video showing you? You know, I'm not an instructions person. I don't like instructions. So I just try to do shit. And then when I screw up, I look up a video on it. Yeah, okay, yeah. That was a different conversation. I wonder why they didn't just spot weld the lock bar insert in place. Never seen one replaced before. I've replaced a bunch of them for different reasons. Like on the Stout V2, I've replaced probably 5 or 6 because the detent ball fell out. So the detent ball falls out, and then you press another one in, and it falls out because the hole's just too big, right? Then you can just swap the steel insert, and that fixes the problem. Sometimes there's a little bit of fitting you have to do, or you just have to try a couple, and then one will work better. Sometimes you get lock stick, but you put another one in, and then that one will be fine. So the Fenrir in all the rainbow colors. Oh, okay. It was Rolf who was talking about it, I guess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think you're overthinking it a little bit, but sure. That's an example. That's an example. I was thinking maybe like what's that Grimsmo knife? The Fiel. That's just like a tiny little button lock flipper. That sounds like a Norse mythology name. I don't know why it feels like the AC is on right now, but I'm fucking freezing. The vent is right under me. Your videos introduced me to skiff bearings and knife disassembly, along with super glue instead of Loctite, so I don't have to be patient and wait 24 hours to carry my new knife. Hell yeah, dude. Can't thank you enough. Dude, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad that helped somebody. That's funny. That's why I started doing it, because it's fucking annoying, dude. Now, you know what the funny thing is? Ever since I moved into this house, where we actually have like a controlled humidity, right? My old house was 100 years old, so it was drafty. It like humidity just, it was always very humid. And I feel like Loctite never worked. But here I can put Loctite in, and if I tighten something down, I've noticed if you tighten something down with Loctite and you tighten it enough, it kind of like compacts the Loctite and it literally like instantly cures. I've had to change, just fix something, like putting in like magazine extensions that have these little screws that hold them in place, or I Loctited like the feet on a bipod, whatever, right? And I'll like less than 5 minutes after installing it, I'll go to loosen it, and that shit is already like fully cured. Where I swear on pocket knives at my old house, it used to take like 3 days for stuff to cure. So there's also, the environment matters too. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up because it's fucking late and I need a snack before I go to bed. Oh, I never unboxed that knife. You guys, maybe I'll just do it in the video tomorrow. It's really late. I'm going to post a video on this tomorrow. I think it drops. I don't know what time it drops, like 1 p.m. maybe. I'll double check, but I'll get a video up tomorrow sometime on this. It's the auxiliary manufacturing. What was it? The Pocket Bowie Buoy. So check that out. Check out the Pony Stout V2 dropping on the 27th of March. I guess we could do a giveaway real quick. I don't know. What do I have? What is this? Ned Foss? I don't even remember what this is. Let's see what it is. Is this like one of those Amazon brands? Oh, that's interesting. Speaking of, is this steel or is this aluminum? I don't know. Here, we're going to do a weird one. So I got this knife. This is goofy. It's a little carabiner knife. And then I have a top. How about that? That'll be weird. Somebody might enjoy this stuff. I don't know if you guys saw my video on this, but it's like this metal top. Company sent me these. You spin it. You know what a top is, I assume. But I think this is like $70 or something. And this is probably like 30. I don't know. It's not bad actually though. It's a little carabiner John with a thumb stud on it. So anyway, just something there. StreamYard giveaway. I'll just do hashtag pony. We can run this real fast. We got 68 people, so I'll just see when it gets to a certain number. I'll let me remove this guy. We'll add this guy. And we'll go back to this guy. Hey. Oh, it only works with people or cameras? Like, what the heck, dude? Common sense that should work, but whatever. Where's the one? There. All right, that works. We can just let that run for a minute. Tomorrow's Friday, guys. That's cool, right? That's cool. Yeah, I'm tired. We jumped up to 72 people. That's great. 4 people got on their phones. Get another hashtag in. I love it. You can't really see. Let's switch these. Let's see. Does that work? No, of course not. Why would that work? Why would that work, Kev? I don't, there we go. Do 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 do. All right, we're kind of hovering here at 36, so that should be good. I'm going to give it like 30 more seconds. If you haven't entered, just put hashtag pony in the chat. That's all you got to do. Oh, it's Friday the 13th too, right? Yeah. Friday the 13th. Oh, I wanted to show you guys those pictures. Let me pull that up real quick, because these are sick. Ah, shit, I'm not logged into Instagram. Come on, dude. Really? You gonna fuck with me right now? All right. How can I do it? How can I show you? How can I show you? I'm gonna use my phone. How do I get out of here? Just get out of here. All right. Let's go to Instagram. I probably could have like shared screen or something. Divo. All right. So, he was in here earlier, I think. So his screen name is Cannons and Cutlery. I think he was in here earlier when I was talking about it. Damn it. So I'm going to put this back up in a second, but I wanted to show my phone. So he posted this. Look at this picture, dude. That is fucking epic. Isn't that a sick picture? And I asked him, I was like, dude, is that AI? And he's like, no. He's like, I was drawing a hopscotch board for my kids. I know about that, except mine, I always draw them fucking crooked. But anyway, he said he just takes pictures like crazy. Here's another one. He's got a bunch on here. There's another one that's like super cool. They're all great. Look at this one. Dude, it's got Divo written out in chalk over here. How cool is that shit? I have these all in my stories, I think, right now. He's using some kind of filter here, I guess. These are awesome, though. There's one more. I don't know. I suck at taking pictures. And this one's really good, too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm Marco. I'm not or who was it? Level on up. I'm not a photographer, so I don't know shit. To me, those pictures are fantastic. Anyway, I just wanted to give him some props, shout him out. So shout out to Matt, Cannons and Cutlery. Those pictures are awesome, dude. So anyway, all right, 45. Cool. Let's give her a draw. Yeah, I meant to show those pictures way earlier, so but it doesn't matter. Give him a follow if you guys don't follow him. Give him a follow. He's a good dude. He's got a lot of Divos. He's got a lot of other stuff too. Cool stuff. Yeah. Here we go. Drawing the winner. SC Knife Monkey with the win. So you're going to want to email me at leftyedc88@gmail.com and shoot me your address. I will get this stuff out to you, dude. Congrats. Oh, there he is. Okay, perfect. Sick, dude. Congrats on that. Just shoot me the email with your address and I will get it out to you. And thank you guys for hanging out tonight. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. I kind of went on a bunch of rants tonight, so sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry, I guess. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll talk to you guys next week. All right. Love you. Mean it. Peace.